Hi, everybody's talking about the craziness that was the Montgomery Riverfront brawl and the massive stupidity that was involved. So some people have already been charged with assault for basically if you strike or shove or kick or punch somebody in Alabama and you cause them physical injury, that is an assault. If there's no serious physical injury, no weapons, then we're talking about misdemeanor assault, meaning up to a year in jail. But the prosecutors, as we speak, or as I speak, are mulling over what other kind of charges should we put. So that's what I'm talking about here. Some of the victims may have been pushed and struck and shoved and kicked, but they may not have gotten injuries. You know, if somebody pushes you, it's annoying, but you may not have gotten injured. Those people are victim of a crime called harassment. There's different kinds of harassment in Alabama, but one of them is very similar to assault. I call it physical harassment, but if you push, strike, shove, kick, or otherwise engage with another person with the intent to harass, annoy, or alarm them, that's the crime of physical harassment. We're going to see a bunch of those charges, I suspect. We're also going to see what's called disorderly conduct charges. What's disorderly conduct? Basically, it's causing a ruckus or fighting or causing a public disturbance, and clearly there was a public disturbance. Clearly there was fighting in public, so we're probably going to see people charged with that as well. If somebody incited this, in other words, somebody did something that caused people to engage in this violent and tumultuous conduct, then that can be called inciting a riot, also a crime under Alabama law. Most of these charges are all misdemeanors, but I suspect there could be some felony charges. I don't know, I'm not the prosecutor, I'm not privy to all the facts, but the felony charges would occur if there was a weapon involved and or if somebody was seriously injured. But that brings us to Chair Guy, the famous Mr. Chair. Is he going to be charged with felony assault for using a chair? Is a chair a weapon under Alabama law? Anything can be a weapon under Alabama law. It could be a pencil, it can be a stick, a brick, anything. Whether or not he'll be charged, of course, is a separate issue. The prosecutors are going to look at it and say, well, number one, they're going to have to determine, did he commit a crime? Was he acting reasonably in self-defense? Was he acting in self-defense but it wasn't reasonable? Does it serve the public interest to prosecute him? And the prosecutors are also looking at, well, what's the likelihood of getting a conviction? If they look at a case and they go, doesn't matter, nobody's going to convict this guy, then the prosecutors may say, well, we're not going to do it. Or they may look and say, it doesn't serve the interests of justice to prosecute this guy, we're not going to proceed against him. So I don't know, but those are things that the prosecutors are thinking about. Unfortunately, in this case, race was a big part. And that's unfortunate, but people are stupid. What can I say? Alabama has a statute or laws against hate crimes. Anything that's motivated by a person's race or ethnicity or things like that, if there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt that that's a determining factor, then the person can be charged with a racially or a hate crime based crime. And for the misdemeanor charges here, that would mean that the level of punishment would be enhanced. So where a misdemeanor normally carries up to a year in jail, if it's found to have been motivated by a hate crime, it would mean that they still be looking at up to a year in jail, but they would also have a mandatory 3 months that they would have to serve locked up in jail, given time to think about, boy, was I, an idiot. The big dog here, and which I haven't seen anything about yet, is the federal government. And the federal government's that's that big old Rottweiler with the teeth, or a Cane Corso, or whatever. It's a big old mean dog. But is the federal government going to step in and say, hey, we're charging you with federal hate crimes? If they do that, people could be looking at up to 10 years in prison, depending on what they charge. But that's big trouble for anybody who is found to be guilty of a federal hate crime. You're going to a federal prison, is most likely. Look, I don't want anybody to be charged with a crime. Maybe I shouldn't say that since I'm a criminal defense lawyer, but I don't want you to be charged with a crime. But if you get in a legal jam and you're here in Madison County, where I practice, and you want to talk to us, just give us a call. The phone number's below. I hope you found this video to be educational and informative. If you want to be nice to us, give us that old thumbs up. And if you want to see more of these videos as they come out, just hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'm attorney Andy Siegel.